Do you know those songs where the lyrics just feel right? Songs by the Beatles, Eminem, Rihanna, Adele. Well, they all share one thing in common. And the crazy thing is, this technique that they share is over 400 years old. And I promise you, once you learn it, you will never write or listen to lyrics the same way ever again. Let's get started. So what is this secret? What's the formula that's going to make your lyrics flow like water? And how is it possible that it's been used for over 400 years, often without people realizing it? To find that answer, we'll travel back to the late 1500s England to find a man who mastered this technique long before modern music even existed. Some might even call him the first rapper of all time, William Shakespeare. You may know this guy from your high school English class as a prolific playwright. But Shakespeare didn't just write plays, he had crazy rhythmic flow. Every line he wrote had a beat, a structure, a groove. It wasn't random and it wasn't just poetry. He crafted every line to be natural, rhythmic, and memorable. He was obsessive of the way that words flowed together. And though Shakespeare wasn't releasing songs on Spotify or sharing his new EP on TikTok, his technique is used today by artists everywhere, even if they don't realize it. In his poetry and lines, Shakespeare followed a specific technique called iambic pentameter, which is just fancy literary talk for the way that a line rhythmically flows together. It sounds kind of like a heartbeat. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. And he used it in almost every single thing that he wrote. It's a pattern of 10 syllables per line that uses stressed syllables and unstressed syllables. Let's dive into what that means. Let's take a famous line of his. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Even just speaking it out loud, you can hear the rhythm that goes behind it. In this line, each group of 2 syllables represent what's called an iamb, which is the iamb in iambic pentameter. An iamb has the unstressed and then stressed syllable. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day. You can see that in this phrase here, there are 5 iambs in a row, which is why you have iambic, pentameter, penta meaning 5. Now, Shakespeare got very specific and almost always used that 5 in his lines, but you don't have to do that for your music. What I want you to get from this is the iamb itself, the unstressed and stressed syllables. If you can combine words with those unstressed and stressed syllables, it'll have more flow, it'll have more structure, and it will sound a bunch better. And the moment you start applying these Shakespearean ideas to your lyrics, that's when everything changes. So did you know that I've actually talked about this before, like weeks, months ago? Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in upping your songwriting game. And there's probably no better way to do that than by getting my new course called the Songwriter Accelerator. It teaches you everything I've ever learned about songwriting and how to become a professional songwriter for yourself. If you want to learn how to craft timeless lyrics and melodies that are sure to stick in your listeners' heads, then go check out the link below. I promise you it's worth it. Also, for the first 60 people that join and buy the course, you can get a full 60% off the course value by using the code FIRST60. This is the best deal that I'll ever offer on this, and I think it's gonna go fast, so be sure to use it while it still lasts. What's crazy is that most artists today are unknowingly using this technique all the time. They don't have to study Shakespeare or analyze poetry, they just do what sounds natural. And that's exactly why this works. This idea of the unstressed and stressed syllables and pairing them together isn't just some old-fashioned rule. It mimics natural speech. It also gives lyrics a sense of flow and momentum that they wouldn't have otherwise. And because our brains are wired to recognize patterns, it makes remembering songs way easier. This is part of the reason why some lyrics just stick in your head while others feel clunky and unforgettable. So to prove that iambic pentameter isn't some historical artifact, let's analyze 3 modern songs that use this same rhythmic formula. The first song that we'll analyze is Umbrella by Rihanna. Let's hear what Umbrella sounds like as I speak it. You have my heart, and we'll never be worlds apart. Maybe in magazines, but you'll still be my star. You can feel the rhythm that's happening there with the words themselves. I over-exaggerated it a little bit, but that's the point. That's that rhythm that sticks with you. To represent unstressed syllables, we typically use this U here for unstressed, and then stressed syllables will get a slash like this. You can see in the first 2 lines that it's alternating between that unstressed and stressed. You have my heart, and we'll never be worlds apart, etc. This happens throughout the entire song, whether Rihanna wrote the song like this or not. It's a really cool technique to get that sing-songy type rhythmic feel. This technique is also especially true in modern hits, such as Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. Let me show you the unstressed and stressed syllables with this lyric. So look at this. I can't relate to desperation. My give-a-toots are on vacation. We're ending this time with one extra unstressed syllable. Notice that this isn't a strict rule, but just a general guideline to follow. Neither of these artists are being as strict as Shakespeare. The idea is that these Iambs are being used and combined together to make it flow more rhythmically. You can see unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, etc., etc. What's also important to note is the matching of the syllables here between each line. We have an extra unstressed syllable here that doesn't technically have a pair, but because it has the same thing in the second line, it feels like it fits better. Using iambs in this way makes your song feel way more memorable than it might otherwise. It's easier to remember the rhythm of a phrase like this than it would be just a random jumble of words. But that's great for modern songs, but this also works with classic hit songs like Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Once again, we're using iambs. A singer in a smoky room, a smell of wine and cheap perfume. You can feel the rhythm that's happening there just by speaking it. When we transfer a rhythmic phrase that sounds like that while speaking, putting it to an actual melody itself is going to hit way differently. Even take a look at this last line. It goes on and on and on and on. They're just repeating the same words like that. But this also goes to show the point that using iambs in this way is going to make your momentum and flow feel much better. Listen to me just saying on and on and on and on and on. I'm just speaking those words, but it already sounds musical. It already sounds like a song might. It's exactly why they're doing it. There are a ton of songs that use this iambs or this unstressed and stressed syllable pattern to make it sound better. But how can you identify them for yourself? Hopefully you can hear the difference between those unstressed and stressed syllables. The stressed syllables are pronounced louder, longer, and are usually higher in pitch, where the unstressed syllables are the opposite. They're softer, shorter, and lower in pitch. For example, listen to the word music in this sentence. I like playing music. Versus, let me switch the stress of music and see how it sounds. I like playing music. I like playing music. It sounds weird, and that's because most words have a natural tendency to stress one of the syllables so that it makes sense, so that it sounds right. Take a look at these two words, lyrics. We don't say lyrics, we say lyrics. Take a listen to today. We don't say today, we say today. Let's take a look at another example that uses a lot of iambs and try to identify them in this song. This is Lose Yourself by Eminem. The first way I'd recommend is to say the phrase naturally and see where those stress and unstressed syllables come up. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. For example, heavy, I wouldn't say heavy, I would almost always say heavy. So I know that that is going to be a stressed syllable with an unstressed syllable. The next tip you can use is as you say it, you can exaggerate the words to really determine what they are. So if I have, his palms are sweaty, his knees weak, arms are heavy. Sweaty feels the same way. I have a stressed syllable and an unstressed syllable. So I can put that down. And if neither of those methods are working, you can also tap it out or clap it out to see which syllables you should actually accent. For example, his palms. If I was to tap it on the table, instead of saying his palms having the same exact volume, I might say his palms are sweaty, right? I would probably accent palms, and I'd probably have this as an unstressed syllable. And then you can do the same thing for the rest of the entire song. And if you look, you notice a pattern. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Exactly. You can see that this once again follows iambs like the rest of the songs, and it makes it rhythmically flow so much better. And now that we've discovered how to identify these types of stressed and unstressed syllables, I think it's time that we put it into our own song. Here's the steps that I would take to make sure that this works. First, I'd write my lyrics out normally using what I think sounds the best. I'm going to continue to sing them to test to see if they have the natural flow. If they don't, if they have multiple stressed syllables in a row, then I'll change those syllables syllables, so they're not multiple stressed syllables in a row, and they fit that I am parameter a little bit better. After writing the lyrics normally and switching some of the words, I want to really make sure that they have the same number of syllables in each line. This is going to help that rhythm flow even better. You can change up the amount of syllables or the amount of Iambs that you have in each line, but this is going to make it flow a ton better. And after I've matched those syllable lines, I'm just going to kind of free flow it. This is a guide. This isn't a hard and fast rule, but something to think about as you write lyrics, and something that a ton of really great lyrics do. And once I have that, I'll write along with the beat in the song and try to fit in my lyrics. Let's follow that step by step and see what the results are. I was messing around this morning and I recorded an idea that I liked earlier. Here's what it sounds like. I was tripping, doing the same thing. But all of the scrapes, the cuts, the scars I got, and every time, and every hole. Okay, so I have the basis of lyrics written. Let me go through and see if they're unstressed and stressed syllables. So I went through, and there's a couple places where this Iambs that I was trying to talk about isn't exactly working. One of them is this beginning part here. But it's kind of a quick introduction to these lyrics. I'm not super worried about this one itself because the main lyrics are Iambs. All of the scrapes, the cuts, the scars I got. Even the melody that I wrote for that part is working. So I'm not so concerned about these few words at the beginning that don't necessarily line up. And the rest of the song seems to be mostly following the Iambs. There's a couple parts up here where the syllables get slightly off, so I might be able to change that and figure it out. But I'm overall liking the vibe. And like I said, this isn't a hard and fast rule, it's just a guideline to follow. And now that I have the rough outline, let's put it to the song and see how it's flowing with the rest of the beat. Here we go, test. Here's what that final product sounds like after following the instructions. I was tripping on my shoestrings, doing the same thing. And I was falling so hard, face down on the pavement. But all of the scrapes and cuts, the scars I got, they leave me inspired. And every hole and run where I got stuck is lifting me higher. It's lifting me higher. That's how you can use iambic pentameter to make your song sound even better. It's the rhythmic pulse that's been a part of poetry and lyrics for over 400 years that you probably never realized was so commonplace. But now that I've introduced you to this concept of this unstressed and stressed syllables and Iambs in general, you are going to hear it all over the place. I talk about this topic and so many more in my songwriting course, the Songwriter Accelerator. If you're interested in learning about songwriting or creating the best songs that you possibly can, I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's in the link below. And if you like this video on iambic pentameter and songwriting, you should go check out this video right up here, which I wrote on how to write a song from a melody or a lyric idea first. Check it out.